the first thing we want to do is make our oval, right? Got a little overlap there. That's okay. Set up our vertical lines. Get a nice tall cylinder. Try not to overdraw your top part. That's okay. Try to get these even here at the bottom so that it's a little bit easier for you to add in this curved line, right? So we're taking this same curve that we have up here at the top and we're translating it down here. So we know that our shape is in fact a cylinder and it's not flat, right? We're dealing with a rounded object, right? This is essentially a cylinder. You can see from the top, it's got, a nice circle at the top. All right. The most important, or at least the first thing we have to do is go ahead. Oh, I forgot putting in the table if you guys want to do that. Boom, boom, just to give it some context. Let people know that it's sitting on a surface. All right, we're going to go ahead and place our light source. And we're going to start doing our labels. And I'm pretty sure everyone's square with this, but the top is going to have a 0 label because the light is closest to it. So when the light hits the top, you're not going to have any shadows, right? You're not going to have any values because it's closest to the light source. However, moving along the side here from one side to the other, we're going to have progressively darker values as we go across. So we're going to put our 1 over here on the side. We got 2, 3 roughly in the middle, 4, and then 5. And then I'm just going to try to draw a little shadow over here. It looks right. And that's going to be a number 6. So remember, our shadow is going to be the darkest value, at least for now. And we know that the shadow is placed on the bottom right because our light source is in the top left. Right. All right. So far, how are we doing? Does anyone have any questions? I'm just going over to the chat. I think everyone kind of understands this, but if you don't, please speak up. Just giving people a minute. All right. Looks like we're good. Okay. So yes, we set this up before, and I'm just going to kind of refer to it up here so you can see it. Sorry, there's like 8 different versions of this worksheet. So we're going to start. We can even, yeah, so we do have numbers. So number 1 over here is just simply going to be the same as hatching, right? So they're very similar when you start out, right? So if you remember when we started doing our hatched cylinder, we simply started out with equally spaced horizontal lines, right? We're going to start the same way. So hatching and cross hatching start the same way. They just start to differ when you start adding in lines that are going in different directions, hence cross hatching, right? You're just adding a different direction every time. And then when you get to the higher values, you're going to go ahead and start adding in not only other directions, but more lines as well. So increasing your line density also. So first thing, we know that our surface is curved, right? Because the top of this object is curved and so is the bottom. So that is a dead giveaway that our lines coming across horizontally are going to have to be curved. So first step, going over to 1, is we're going to draw in these curved lines. Again, just matching exactly what you have up at the top. Trying to get that curve to match. And this is a few more lines than I usually do, but it's okay. All right. So starting out, hatching and cross hatching, almost the same, just referring back, right? The same process, right? We have these 5 or 6 lines going straight across or curved across. the surface of our piece. We are starting the same way on cross-hatching. All right. So now that we're done with one, I'm going to grab my piece of paper. And now we are done with this section from one. Here, I'll show you. So from 1 to 2, we're completed. That's done. That's as dark a value as it's going to get. We want it to stay light, so we're going to leave it alone. Now our job is to create a darker value from 2 on all the way to 5. All right. The reason why we draw these lines all the way across is because we're going to continuously layer different directions of lines on top of what we've already accomplished. So we want to start all the way from the end and draw in as well. So we looked at our top. So first set of lines, perfectly horizontal. Second set of lines are diagonal. So we're going to go ahead and add those in now. And they're pretty much almost exactly diagonal, but there is going to be a little bit of curve to it. So we're not going directly right diagonal. It's going to be something like that because we're sort of following the curve of the cylinder. I'm going to start. Try to get these lines as equally spaced as possible. Okay. So we look sort of like that. Remember, these diagonal lines are not going all the way to the edge, right? So now we have two different values. We got the values from 1 to 2, and then 2 to 5 all has the same value over here. All right, so take a minute, complete that section. So it looks kind of like this. All right, once you have this, and this is kind of a departure from yesterday, but we're going to try to work with it this way. So we have on the first set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. On the second, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So roughly the same amount of lines. What we want to do is add in more lines on this number 2 step because we're probably going to have to come back and do it later. So the next stage of this step is to add in lines going in between. And remember, that's the same thing we did over here, right? Adding in additional lines. We're just kind of copying the same steps that we did for hatching. So again, these are the lines we just made. We're going to put lines in between them, right? Curved, following the lines we've already made. There we go. All right. Okay. Give it a minute. All right. So two directions of lines isn't too terrible, right? It doesn't look too, doesn't look too complicated. That's so many. But now we're going to add a third direction, which is a little bit difficult. So now we've done, right, horizontal. We've done diagonal going one way. Now we're doing diagonal going this way, right? And that's going to look like that. Okay, so here, just separating out the steps, right? So this is our next step, but we're not going all the way to 2. We're going to stop at 3 this time. And we're going to start with only 6 lines. Try to make them equally spaced, just like our first yellow. So moving on, doing our diagonals, we're going to start from the 3, move our paper over, and kind of see how it goes. So just doing 2, 3, 4, oh gosh, 5, 6. Okay, a little off on that one. That's okay. All right, but on number 2, we added in lines in between, so we're going to do that again. So going back to number 3, all right, I'm going to add in another set of lines in between what we've already done for a total of 12 lines. Okay. All right, but now we're going to add in even another set right here. So it's kind of hard to see, but we're working with these diagonal lines. Try to focus in on them. Well, here, oh, wait a second. So right now we have 12 diagonal lines coming across, going this way. We're going to add in another 12, so we're going to have 24 total. Okay, so starting at the top, going in between, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and a little tiny one at the end, 12. Okay, so now we can kind of start to see those values kind of jump out at you. Right, we have a very light value, a number 1, then a number 2, moving up to a number 3 all the way across, and then we have one more value to go. I mean 2 if you count the 5 and the 6, but this is about what we should look like right now. Give you all a minute. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay, looking good. All right, so the only direction we have left is going to be that additional vertical. So we've done horizontal, we've done diagonal, we've done the other diagonal. Our next step is just going to be vertical. Okay, just a straight vertical line. And the reason why this is different, for a couple reasons. So because our lines are going perfectly vertical, there is no curve to them. We know that because the right side is straight and so is the left side. So if there's no curve to both edges of the shape that you're drawing in the direction that you're drawing, you do not have to add in any curves, right? So try to do this as accurately as I can. We're going to try to keep the same like number trend going, but I have a feeling with straight lines it's going to be a little bit different. So let's try to add in some of these lines. Vertical. Okay. It's kind of a basic number of lines. Kind of works, but I think we need to make it darker. Again, just comparing, it looks like we need a few more lines here. So we're going to try to fit lines in between the lines that we just made. So again, carefully trying to fit those vertical lines. Okay, that looks a little bit better. We're starting to get a little differentiation in value. I think I'm going to go in and try to add a few more. Well, maybe not. I'm not sure. I don't know. What do you all think? Do you think we need more lines, or is it good the way it is? It's good? Okay. We got one vote for good. Anyone feel any different? All right, we'll stick with it. All right, we have one more over here. I just want to add in a few, like another little tiny little section over here. And you could really go to like any direction you want because we're just gonna be adding in a bunch of small lines. I'm gonna go back and add in a diagonal because I think that's the best way to show this. And because the line is so short, I'm not gonna worry too much about bending my line. I'm gonna do it a little bit, but because I'm only gonna be making lines that are about this long, um, I'm not gonna worry too much about bending. So again, just really no mathematical, I don't know, I'm not counting lines anymore. I'm just trying to create this value, trying to make it a little bit darker. Trying to make it nice and even all the way down. And I think that works. All right. So now I think with that extra value, that really helps kind of pull it all together. Again, sometimes you can count lines, sometimes that's not, it doesn't help, it doesn't necessarily work out. But now it kind of looks like I have the right amount of lines going all the way across, at least for my cylinder. All right. Um, so cross hatching over here on the shadow, we know that we're going to have a very dark value over here. So I don't need to bother counting all the lines, like 12 plus 12, right? Multiples of 6. I'm just going to kind of go in and start drawing just from the top. So first we're going to go directly sideways, and this is a flat table, so you do not have to bend your lines. So I'm going to follow that, just follow the edge of the table, go straight across. Again, keeping these lines very, very close together, just making very many of them. Just using your wrist instead of your elbow because you're making short lines. Try to make sure it's balanced. Right, so that's a start. That's our horizontal lines. Let's go ahead and put in diagonal lines. All right, we got horizontal, we got diagonal. We're gonna go the other diagonal. So I'm gonna move my paper. I don't know, I haven't really addressed this, but I've been turning my paper around quite a bit so that it's comfortable for me to make my lines. So feel free to move your paper however you need to in order to make your line drawing more effective and more comfortable. Just holding my paper down, drawing that extra value. So we're going to keep going with our number 6 until it's darker than what we have over here. And honestly, it's starting to look like it is already. But we got one more direction to go. Might as well include them all. It's going to be vertical, just straight up and down. So again, kind of twisting my paper so my hand is comfortable going across. And don't forget the bottom. We're going to add in your vertical lines with our last direction. And just by adding in that additional direction, we kind of have this kind of screen door, I don't know, screen door look to these the cross hatching number 6, the number 6 value. But now you can really see that this value is significantly darker than anything we have on the cylinder, which is exactly what we want, right? So now that we've put the 0 next to the 1, you have a slow gradient all the way to 5, and then you have the number 6 value over here. When that all comes together, right, it looks pretty good, right? It looks kind of like it's got form. I'll try to turn it a little darker. Yeah, so there you go. All right, so let me give you guys a minute. try to finish up yours. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, we're doing this again. So same question as the beginning. Just drop it into the chat. On a scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable are you with cross-hatching a cylinder? Okay, okay. 2, 7. All right, maybe some improvement here. All right, okay, okay.